The following is a sports presentation of KULP, the Rice Belt's recognized leader in sports programming.
It is. My goodness, conversation about Johnny Manziel ringing in my ears here. It's a shame you didn't get a chance to hear it, but you will hear coming up the Sears for the East. It's the KULP Crystal Ball, brought to you by New First National Bank, right after this. We're back on the KULP Crystal Ball. Let's start on this to my left, as always, with
Scott Rod, New First National Bank.
Scott.
Oh, James Canal Air Conditioning. You pointed at Ross.
Ross Russell, New First National Bank.
Okay.
Roland Orsack, Shoppers Farm Supply, and VOB.
Okay, that's our crew. Right now, let's look at last week. Tough week for everybody. Cruising along, and then we found out and proved beyond a shadow of a doubt we don't know anything about 3A Division 1. I mean, it's true. It is pretty tough this year. Ross and James 8-3, Roland, Scott, and Bob all 7-4. So that means Ross
still in the lead, Bob. Still living life.
All by his lonesome.
A lot of times people don't believe in my abilities as a sports picker, or even my knowledge of sports in general. As proven earlier. I mean, I got guys that are in dead last trying to talk football with me, which, I mean, I don't know what's going on there. But I know Roland was getting a kick out of it. But I guess, I mean, there you go. I mean, the statistics and the standings, I mean, pretty much tell the tale.
The proof's in the jello.
Yeah, I mean, who can argue with standings? I'm not going to.
Or jello.
Yeah.
Okay, the proof is in the jello. What flavor, Rolly? Does it matter?
No, always lime green.
Okay, all right. There we go. Let's take a look at the overall. Then again, it's Ross 62-15, Scott 61-16, James 61-16, then Roland 59-18.
So close.
I can't close on you guys. 58-19, dead last. So,
you're going backwards, Bob.
Yeah, I really am.
I didn't want to point that out.
Again. First of all, the El Campo Ricebirds, after watching Brazosport just shut down a pretty good Sealy team. Granted, they didn't have their running back, Matthew Lord, in the second half of that contest, and then El Campo just goes in and just takes apart Brazosport in the second half. Scott, phenomenal.
The first half, I talked to James, and he said, man, this team, we need to do something, and I'd be dang to come out the second half. That was probably the best, most complete half of football El Campo's played all year. That was dominant, offense and defensively. Brazosport's not a bad team, but they made them look like a bad team. So and they needed to. That was a big time in the season. Could be a turning point in the season right there.
We've talked about it. Coming into that third quarter, you want to think that the different running styles, James, of those backs will create problems with defense, and I've never seen it put into shape like that.
Yeah, and I think what El Campo found out is, hey, we can go underneath center and run straight at people and, make big chunks of yards at a time. I mean, and that was a big change that you noticed. I mean, it was like we're going to go I formation, we're going to go pro formation, and we're going to get under center and get these running backs a head start. And, to me, one of the changes is, I don't know what the coaches said. It must have been inspirational. The offensive line came out. And they didn't do a bad job in the first half, but the second half, I mean, they were driving people 2-3 yards off the ball, and you could really see what those running backs can do with that kind of blocking. I mean, it's when you have that kind of blocking with the running backs that we have, all three of them can pick up 10 yards of carry. I mean, I think all of them had over.
I think all three of them had 120 yards total. That's crazy.
So I mean, and there wasn't that many carries. I mean, they were doing that big clips at a time, and they were running straight at them, and that's if you're a Ricebird football fan, you got to appreciate that. I mean, just seeing come off the ball. But, I mean, big thing, the defense really stepped up as well. We had a couple of turnovers in the first half, but really other than that, I mean, Brazosport didn't have anything. Well, one turnover and then a kickoff return. So, I mean, you really held a good Brazosport offense to 7 points, I think, total that they actually scored on the defense. So, I mean, big time by defensive guys. They're getting some pressure up there, getting a quarterback out. But, I think secondary took some flack in that Fulcher game by a few busted coverages, and they surely, they shored that up a little bit. And, all around just a really good game by the Ricebirds. And, you got to start to wonder what Sealy's going to have after that.
Ross.
Yeah, the game Friday night, I think if the Ricebirds had a must-win game this season, that was probably the must-win game.
Agree 100%
I mean,
with
you're
you.
sitting there, that's probably, you're thinking 4 spot, maybe 5 spot. playing against Brazosport after what they did to Sealy. And now, after you get that win under your belt, as you move on to Sealy, I mean, you're thinking you can move up maybe into the 3 spot, maybe the 2 spot. The loss to Needville was kind of a heartbreaker, and, a lot of it came to do with the injury bus showing up. But I think another thing that El Campo has going for him is you got a second-string quarterback that's moved into the starting role that's growing up by the quarter. And, I think as we move through, half by half of football, going through these next few games, I think you're going to see more improvement, coming out of the quarterback position. And like I said, the running backs have been, something to hang our hat on all season. So I think the Birds have a good chance here at home on Friday night, and I'm going to go with them.
All right, we'll get back to the pick coming up in just a little bit. Roland, just a quick take on the 3A mess, and you know what I'm talking about. We missed, all of us, it seemed like we missed on 3 of those games, with the exception of Ross, who picked Hempstead to beat Bowling. And those other games, it's like
brilliant.
Good luck trying to handicap these things.
There was quite a few games last week that really were stumpers and surprises. The bowling game, bowling had struggled. Plashes.
Yeah, Plashes was not necessarily they won, but Plashes had 141-0. What was the big surprise for me?
Yeah, Rice didn't score a point, Scott.
And then James mentioned Meadville. I mean, that was a
yeah. Let's talk about that one for a minute.
Everybody jumped on the Columbia bandwagon because of Columbia's defense, and they'll be able to stop Meadville's offense. And James, to his credit, he said, hey, you can't stop Shreddick. And you know what? He was right. You can't.
No.
And so that's the X factor in the entire district is, this district goes as Meadville goes now. They're the ones to look at. That Meadville-Sealy game, I think El Campo's got a shot to beat Sealy tonight. Sealy would have 2 losses in the district. Now you're starting to match up who has 1, who has 2. How does this playoff stuff shake out? So,
I mean, you're looking at the number 4 seed in this district being 3-3. You're looking at having 2 guys in this district, very possible they're 3-3. I don't know what the tiebreaker is, but if it's head-to-head or if it's point differential, so you might see people trying to pull it on when they're ahead. So, I mean, do you know what
I have no idea. What the
plus
tiebreaker
points
is.
to 14, I believe most districts have. So the most you can get in a game is 14 per game.
It'd be a shame if the Fulshear close game comes back and hurts El Campo.
And it could. It literally could.
Yeah, it probably could if you get to a tiebreaker situation. I think if you beat Sealy, though, you're in pretty good shape.
You're in great shape if you beat Sealy.
They're in really good shape. So
let James go ahead and take his credit for picking Meadville. Go ahead, get on it.
Yeah, good call there.
I just, it was pretty obvious who had a better team. I mean, been watching West Columbia and Huddle all season, Y'all were pretty high on them. I understand they had a decent record, but, they just didn't have the players to keep up. So
what's funny? Steven's over here filming us, and when James talks, he's having to move all the way back to the wall to try to get him in the pitch, and it's still not working.
Sorry, my arm is as big as your waist.
We got to start that stuff again. I'm going to give you guys a couple of numbers.
Make sure you get his hair in there.
Exactly.
It's not going to be a good video if you don't get Scott's
He's well
hair.
lit though. Look at him. He's perfect lighting.
Oh man.
We've talked about it during the week here on KULP. You guys may not be familiar with it, or you may be. But the numbers for Straddick: 24 carries, 307 yards, including an 88-yard dash and a 99.
He's got to be close to it. He's over 1,000 yards in district.
Oh yeah, he's
3 games.
Yeah, he's got 21 touchdowns. So
they said he would have went a lot further if the ball would have been.
He'd still be running.
Yeah.
Canadian football.
Oh yeah, he could have.
That's funny.
He could have probably been in the parking lot when anybody touched him.
I was getting texts. He ran 99, then he ran 88, and I was like, "Geez, let's move the football back and see what else he can do." I mean, seriously.
110.
Exactly.
I think they had him
my average.
Exactly.
I think they had him run around in the end zone and made him go touch the goal line twice before he could run it out, and he still made it. So
I mean,
they're actually getting holding penalties after kickoff just to build his stats.
Bad field position means longer runs for him.
That's right.
All right.
Stat builder.
they only kneel it.
While Meadville sits out, we've got one really good one and 2, according to Fearless Leader, our boss, Stephen, or my boss, Stephen Zetchi.
I thought you were talking about Ross.
Yeah, he has a different take on this Fulshear Columbia game. But let's start with Sealy El Campo. Let's see. Our leader is Ross. So,
Yeah, I let
Ross,
off. I was so anxious to pick the Birds that I'm going to go with them at home. I think it looks to be a pretty good football game. 2 weeks ago, What are you thinking? Completely different animal. You know, you're probably David and Goliath at that point. But I mean, after what's transpired in the last few weeks, I mean, I think the Birds have a legitimate shot tonight, and like I said, I think they're going to win at home.
All right, Scott.
Man, this is a tough game. I think Sealy has a big advantage. They had a bye last week, so that gives them extra time the week to compare to El Campo.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, and that gives them some time to prepare for El Campo. And this is probably the last chance each team has to control your own fate. You lose this game, you have 2 district losses, and you're at the mercy of other teams. But Sealy's actually like I said, a well-balanced team. They actually throw the ball more than Needville does, so that's not And I don't know if their running backs in or not. And so that could lead up, if he's not 100%, and they know El Campo's banged up in the secondary, they can even throw the ball more. So El Campo's secondary could come into play. But what I think the most important thing about this one is Sealy's against El Campo's always stacked the line. They did it last year. Of course, it was pouring down rain last year. They did it the year before. So I think El Campo, and I think they do it, and I think this is the difference in the game. They're going to bust a couple long runs. It might be hard to sustain some drives with all the people in the box, but I think one of the running backs is going to hit a 60, 70-yard run, and maybe we get a long pass play. I think we make it just enough plays to win.
It came down last year to the fact that Charles Shorter had to do everything, including sell popcorn. And this year, again, with those 3 running backs back
Where do we get popcorn?
It's just it's not the case. I think Sealy's going to have some problems with
didn't put no butter on
attack. So I like the Tigers, James.
The Tigers.
Whoa, look at that.
Oh, see, I caught you. You're talking. Oh, of course, Riceford.
Yeah, Baba, we're about to have you freaking kicked out of the booth. You're going to have to come on the sidelines with me so the coaches could give you trouble. 1 week off, 2 weeks off, who gives it? No, it doesn't matter how many weeks off Sealy had before this game. El Campo, I think, found something last week. Going to be able to control the clock with the running game. Biggest thing, no turnovers, cannot turn the ball over. I mean, even in the Needville game, that's all, one of the only ways that, El Campo stops themselves, either turnovers or big penalties. Play a clean game, play an inspired game. I think what we saw there was some turning point in the way that, kids were thinking about, the football game and stuff like that. I mean, it just really looked like a different football team. So with a young team like that, you get big swings and momentum and, see different things, and it's really, all between the ears at that point. But I think El Campo took a turning point there. Sealy's still a great football team. Saw a little bit of video on them in huddle, actually. And, it didn't. One thing that I think would probably scare me the most when El Campo's playing a game is like just a big,
Extra point.
Well, yeah, no doubt. But they fixed that actually in the last part of the Bradsport game too. But just a big defensive line that can really get after you. I mean that'll make it real hard on the running team. And I don't see Sealy having anything that'll give them trouble. El Campo by 17.
Oh God.
Big number there.
Yeah, that's a big
no,
number.
there's right now El Campo's got to feel very, very confident in what they're doing. The loss against Needville, you can almost, attribute that to a superior running back taking over a football game, and you can see that on the high school level. It's rare, but it does happen, and I think that's what happens against Needville. Outside of that, El Campo's had a quality season. You look at Sealy and that loss to Brazosport at home. That Sealy-Brazosport game kind of raises some questions, and I think El Campo's coming in confident, so you got to like the Ricebirds' chances.
Okay, let's move on.
So you picking El Campo?
You heard it here first.
I'm kind of shocked too, but we're gonna.
I'm not shocked at all. He knows a good team when he sees one.
Every once in a while, I see one on Friday night.
All right, Brazosport of Bay City. By the way, your buddy Simon says that Memorial Stadium is the Black Cats' home again. They never finished the big stadium.
Simon knows.
Simon
He
knows.
even
Simon
says.
says. Yes.
And from the looks of that big stadium, it might not be ready for next year. It's
gonna-
moving along at the speed of smell.
They're going to take a look at the team next year and decide whether it's going to be ready or not.
That's exactly right. If they look like they're going to be like 0-5 starting out, not ready.
I like it. I like the exporters getting well. Scott.
Yeah, you look basically struggling offensively. They've only scored 2 touchdowns and one more. They only scored 2 touchdowns once, and then and their defense is giving up 3. I think Brazosport comes out stale, and after they get a big loss to El Campo, but I think Brazosport pulls away at the end.
They just got too much talent, I think.
You got like Beatport in this one. Bay City really just has struggled this season. There's glimpses of brilliance on some nights. You look at their scores and you go, okay, they're in this game. I just think Brazosport has too much for them.
But this is usually the time of year when Brazosport and Bay City both start doing really stupid stuff just to play with our picking. Like Brazosport will go on a 5-game winning streak or a 5-game losing streak, and Bay City will decide that they don't want to be 0-10. They're going to be they're going to win the next 4 games.
To start playing.
Yeah. So I mean, it's real hard to pick, but Brazosport should win this game pretty easily.
All right. So we're all exporters, right?
Yeah, I'll take Brazosport.
All right, James. I just didn't see the need to.
Oh no, the only thing I was going to say is like I mean, you watch the Brazosport defense. They got a couple cats. I mean, number 20 is one of the best safeties in the
Davis?
in the state. And then number 3, he's a heck of a cornerback. The running back goes out, and you got these cats that are on defense, and you're like, hey man, we're a 4A football team. What? Put those guys on offense, man. And that's
football,
what you were thinking that was going to happen, and it never did. So I mean, that just surprised me because I mean, sometimes you got to go to your top guys and say, hey man, we need something from you. But
yeah, we got guys going 3 ways.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean,
that's about right.
One thing we didn't have to do against
against
the exporters was punt, so that's good.
He said 3-way, and Canal lost all trains of thought.
Okay, get us out of this mob.
Yeah, I'm going to try. Fulshire, Columbia. Steven says, watch out for Jackson Edge's passing. Yeah, Columbia can't snooze on these guys. I agree with that, but I think one of the problems here is Fulshire has to catch them at Renfro Field. But remember, Fulshire last year looked like pretty much looked basically like a possum. Lost to Sealy with ease, the way they did this year, and then they came back and played everybody tough the rest of the year. Now, this is a much better Columbia team. I still like the Roughnecks, Roland.
You're talking about must-win situation. This is Columbia's must-win. Their schedule doesn't get any easier after this. So you find the Roughnecks, if they lose this game, they could be on the outside looking in this district.
But they better not be looking ahead.
I mean, historically, isn't this Columbia's? I mean, this is exactly what Columbia does every year. They're 5-0 going into district, and then they start playing people, and it gets ugly in a hurry. But I think they won't have any problem with Fulshire. I know, you talk about what Fulshire played El Campo close, but I think we touched on it last time when we were talking about the Fulshire game last week.
Out of kilter.
That and it's hard to coach against somebody that, I mean, they're going to go for it on 4th down. They're going to onside kick it every time. I mean, there's some things that can go your way when you really have nothing to lose, but I think Columbia's a better football team, and I think they will take care of Fulshire.
There's your leader right there, Ross Russell. How about that?
So you can take that little comment to the bank.
Take it to the bank. Scott, can you trump that?
New First National Finance.
I think it's like what Roland said. He said, Fulshire's season really starts next 3 weeks after this game. Their next 3 games after Fulshire is going to determine their season. I mean, it's make or break for them. They can get the big dogs 3 weeks in a row. But I think they have enough in this game to handle Fulshire pretty easily.
Yeah, I think West Columbia can do. I mean, their secondary is what probably is going to help them out the most. I mean, watching Fulshire, they did come out with a bunch of different complex schemes and different scenarios to get guys open and different routes that are hard to cover, especially in zone. Be interested to see what the type of talent that West Columbia has. They'll probably man up and say, try it. So I think West Columbia makes it hard on Fulshire to move the ball and get to win tonight.
Another problem for Fulshire is Columbia with that kind of a modified wing tee. They will just try to run over the Chargers. Should have good weather for it too. Let's take a break. New First National is our fine sponsor. Back again on the KULP Crystal Ball. By the way, Needville has the bye this week. They'll start a crunch of 3 pretty good games coming up next week, as well as El Campo has an off week. Let's move to 3A, where Wharton just kind of didn't really put out 100% last week against Washington, still win that one. Sweeney beats Lamarck, so this one probably for the district title. Wharton and Sweeney. Ross, why don't you start this one out?
Oh, you're going to start it out. I guess we'll go from top down. So,
Bob, you will be last.
I think this is the one that, this is going to be a heck of a football game. I mean, you're tempted to go with Sweeney, but I think Wharton goes down there with their speed. I think they play a complete football game, and the coin that I flipped did show Wharton on top. So, like I said, I'm going with Wharton on the road.
Flip a coin, Roland?
Well, what surprised me, I guess, last week was how tight that Sweeney-Lamarck game was. We kind of just assumed that Lamarck was down, and Sweeney, they had a tough go of it.
Yeah, they did have a tough go.
I think Lamarck has a good defense.
Yeah.
So
And so I'm liking Sweeney at home. So I'll take the Bulldogs.
James.
Stop looking at the air conditioning.
Well, I tell you, they're just transfixed by it.
It like turned on. It's only 160 degrees in here.
Steven's trying to sweat us out.
Sweating. It's like, get out of here.
It's all Scott's hot air.
I got like, yeah, no kidding.
I could have collected a bet on that
And it's
comment.
hairspray. It's suffocating. I got to take Wharton in this one. I think they're going to come ready to play. I think both teams probably understand what this is for. El Campo's seen what an inspired Wharton football team looks like. So I got to take the Tigers.
yeah, both these teams won the last 3 of the last 4. But what the difference in this game for me is I don't trust Sweeney's offense. I think they've only scored more than 3 touchdowns once, and they've been held to under 14 points in half their games. And with Wharton, you have a proven quarterback that's going to put up points, and so I think the difference is I like Wharton's offense more than Sweeney's offense.
Tigers on the blue turf.
We could have had a lot better conversation about this game if he'd have went first.
Let's move to Columbus and Palacios.
You're taking the Tigers?
Who you take, Bob?
Wharton Tigers, yeah.
There you go.
I'm the only one out on the swing.
Hey, that's a pretty good game, man.
There's a coin flip.
But yeah, it's tough down there in the swamp. But
I think the next
kinda
game is
agree
really
with
tough.
Scott. Columbus Palacios, yeah. There's so many things about this one. It could go either way. Again, I'm going to pick on you, James.
This is a really tough game. I mean, Columbus has played a lot of people close. I'd have never, if somebody told me Palacios was going to come out and goose egg Rice last week, I would have told you you're crazy. But I don't know why it's hard for me to pick Palacios. Maybe it's the last 10 years of irrelevance, in bad football. But for some reason, I got to go Columbus. I still think they've played a little bit tougher schedule than Palacios has. I think if you put Palacios in the same schedule that Columbus has played, they probably have two to maybe 3 losses. So I like Columbus here, but Palacios just keeps surprising. So I wouldn't bet on it.
Scott.
Dude. I was on the Palacios train before y'all were. I think it's
I'm not on it yet.
We never got nobody's.
They started out. Last week
Mind the shark.
What caught my attention was a 41-0 beat down of Rice Consolidated. Rice is usually a good team. It's like James says, they've been bad for so many years. If they had a different name, it might be easier to pick them. But Columbus, you see what they did against a tough schedule, and they're what are they? 2 losses by a total of 5 points. They're almost undefeated, and I think, like James says, Columbus's schedule is a little bit tougher. And if you put Palacios in there, would they have the same schedules they do now? So I like Columbus in this game.
You had your phone out. We thought we were going to hear Baby Shark.
I thought the Baby Shark was coming.
Baby Shark was going to make it.
Scott, you got to watch Scott. Sometimes he'll pick a team just because he has a song to go with.
In his playlist.
Yeah, in his playlist.
Yeah.
He's got the.
Oh my God, I got to go with them.
There you go. All right, looking at something of Max Preps is kind of interesting. Columbus in the region 35, Palacios in the region number 25, and in the state, not the region. That's according to 3A, or rather, that's according to 3A Division 1, and Columbus has played the tougher schedule. You get the feeling though that Palacios is favored in this one. I still think the Cardinals know how to win this kind of a contest, so I'm going to go with Columbus.
Yeah, I'm going with the Fighting Shovels on the road too. I just can't. It's just really hard for me to pick Palacios over.
I got it queued up for you.
That's a pretty good long trip.
No, I'm not going to let you play Baby Shark. I'm going with Columbus.
I got it queued up for you.
Just for the reason you have the darn music. Go ahead and play it for the benefit of our audience. Go ahead, please. Could you play Baby Shark?
I just remember when Vanilla Ice came out and he picked Rice Baby forever.
Hey, don't sleep on him.
I just can't believe how fast he can pull that up in his phone. It's like,
that's his ringtone.
If I look at my phone, it says St. Philip's playlist.
Pre-game playlist.
Hey, we got to keep it PC in the private schools. You know what I'm saying?
Rocky, I have a tiger, and Baby Shark.
They will only let me have 2 bleep outs per song.
No bleeps.
If that's in your playlist, I think I know the problem. If that's your pregame playlist,
it's killer.
We don't have no.
All right, guys.
You need a DJ. Before you need a running back, you need a DJ.
We got a lot of games left to pick, so some of these we probably just need to pick. Edna Luley. Luley's terrible this year.
Yeah, Edna.
Edna Big.
Okay, and Let's see. Well, we got to do this one. Bowling at Rice. Gracious. Bowling last week fell way behind Hempstead, caught up a little bit. Rice gets skunked. Anybody?
Man, this is one of those coin toss games. How about I'm going to pick Rice? Why? Because it's related to farming and I work at Shoppers. There you go. That's how complex that went.
I like bowling. I'm going to pick bowling.
Because I like bowling.
Because you're shaped like a bowling ball.
Would you be nice to him?
That's not very nice.
I'm getting sick of this guy with the
I know.
messed up hair.
I know.
Mess all
He's
the time.
over there in a huge glass house. He's
air
heaving rocks over
But
your
y'all got the air
area.
conditioning bit on that side. I have no AC.
I'll quit picking on Scott just because he's such an easy target.
You know, I can't believe that he can see who he picked with all that perfume sweating down in his eyes. You know what I'm saying?
come
Freaking
on.
having a problem over there.
James, just give
All
us
that hair gel.
Down.
Down.
Dapper man, baby.
Dap.
We gotta hurry up. He's got a hair appointment after this.
I'm going with Rice over bowling.
Okay. James.
I said I like bowling. I'm going with bowling. Still.
Well, I'm going to go against the leader there. I'm going to go with bowling. Bowling did find their offense late in this one. Rice didn't score at all. I think Rice may have the better team on paper.
Oh, they're due though, Bob.
Yeah.
They're due to score a touchdown
Yeah,
or
they're
win a
due.
game.
I mean, if you look on paper, I think Bowling's best game was probably the 13-17 loss against
Against
Edna.
yeah.
I mean, but then what also skews Bowling's stat was the 61-7 beatdown of Westbury Christian.
You can't count that one.
So you can't really count that one. So I think what makes this game hard to pick is how Palacios how easily they handled Rice. But I think Rice will be able to. They're more physical and be able to run the ball more. So I'm gonna go with them.
All right, Hallettsville, Yoakum. We're going to add this one to the mix, guys.
Can't just add it to the
that legal?
That's not legal, man.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I think that's an awesome idea, Bob. I won't turn on you.
Yeah.
Nobody knows anything
Oh,
about it.
Hallettsville. Hallettsville's looking good right now.
Yeah, we're not really going to pick it, but we're going to talk about the
Who did
fact that
Yoakum
it's going to be.
They lost the Moore twins.
No, but I
That's who
said
they
they
lost.
lost last
3
week
years
to
ago.
somebody.
Yoakum is 2-4. They're really struggling. So
They lost some.
But
They
this-
lost big last week. Was it Industrial?
Industrial.
Oh, Industrial.
Yeah,
That's
Industrial kicked them around.
Yeah, so-
and when's the
yeah, so-
last time that
I
happened?
mean, Industrial's looking good.
Yeah, Industrial is looking pretty good. Now, we don't have to count this one, but I think it needs to be on the list because it's going to color the rest of this district.
I mean, Hallettsville was a big surprise. They had a heck of a game last week,
Yeah.
too. So,
After a slow start.
I like the Maroon Brahmas in this one.
All right. Again, like we said, not a pick, but just a discussion. And we've got 3 coming up for you, starting with Ganado, East Bernard, right after this from New First National.
Yeah, we're going way over our time.
Yeah,
this
we
week.
really are.
Yes.
Wait.
Your ratings will be up, Steven.
Yep. Back on the KULP Crystal Ball. Roland, take it away. Ganado, East Bernard, homecoming.
Well, this is good. This has been a good. Sit back and relax, big boys. This is a good game. East Bernard 7-0. Ganado 5-1. Ganado's only loss is to Palacios in double overtime. In our district, Ganado has the number 1 rusher in Kyle Burish Guerrero. He's also the number 1 passer, so he's a dual threat, and the kid's just a freshman. So East Bernard's going to face an offense like they haven't seen this season. I think Ganado's big up front. Indians are back. They're going to make the playoffs in this district. It's just a question of what position will they be in. I like East Bernard in this. Obviously, I think East Bernard's going to grind things to a halt. And when you play the style of offense that Ganado has, 3 downs and out will cost them because East Bernard will move the football and they will score. So I think there'll be enough separation. Though I do think this is going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a really close game.
Good enough for homecoming?
Absolutely. We don't want an easy game on home.
No.
No, you don't. You
Well,
wanna keep
actually,
them in
probably
the
when they booked this game, they were thinking Ganado wasn't going to be playing
Maybe, well,
football again.
Maybe.
You want some-
Maybe.
They
You want some
underestimated.
challenge. Ross, your pick.
Yeah, I'm going with East Bernard.
East
I mean,
Bernard.
Roland can't be completely wrong about everything.
Always.
James.
I'll take East Bernard as well. I think the one thing that I look at sometimes, we look at the scores at halftime, you start wondering, East Bernard's a completely different team in the second half.
They
So
sure
I was
are.
kind of wondering, what the slow starts are about. Maybe Ganado can have some success there with that high-powered offense and get up in the first half. But you got to go with East Bernard. I don't know what they're ranked, like 1 or 2 in the state, but
What they ought to do is start playing a half of football before the actual game.
It's we got to remember there are 4 quarters, and you saw that last week, Del Campo. You saw it with Needville. There's a second half separation. Good teams separate. East Bernard put up 28 points in the third quarter after being tied 14 at all at halftime. There's some separation in the second half. Good teams do that.
Brahmas will wear down Ganado, but I think it's a pretty good game early on.
I agree.
So, yeah. So
I mean, you look at it.
Scott.
Talk about separation. It might be hard to separate. I think Ganada's holding opponents to 10 points a game. East Bernard's 9. And that's what I'm anxious to see how many points. Ganada's scoring 50 points a game, and East Bernard's holding people to 9. So this should be a good, just to see if East Bernard, somebody can put some points up on East Bernard. But like I said, East Bernard's a complete team, and I like them.
Maybe kind of a preview of playing Rogers later.
Well, I think the regional finals comes from this district. It could be a regional finalist between somebody like East Bernard or Ganado, East Bernard, Tidehaven, East Bernard, Van Lake. I mean, it's coming out of this district. I believe a regional finalist is coming out of our district.
I think that's a given. We got 2 games left, guys. Brazos, Yorktown. Don't know much about it. Yorktown.
Cougars on all over on this one.
Okay, I think Brazos rolls here. Everybody.
The Brazos close though.
Close.
Touchdown.
Brazos close. All right, so not rolling. And finally, Louise and Burton. Gracious. That's tough.
Louis not having
No,
much success
not
this
having
year,
much success at
and
all.
Burton's not the answer to that.
Nope, it is not. So
No, I'm going with
Burton
the sausage
all the way
makers.
around.
Yep.
Okay, that's it. We took so much time talking about hair gel and other things that we didn't have a chance to get into college. But hey, heck,
But
maybe
all needed addressing.
Maybe we could do that. Yes, it did. Maybe we could do that coming up next week. Let's start with Roland and say goodbye.
Hey, Roland Orsack, voice of the Brahmas, tonight, airtime 7 o'clock on KULPradio.com.
Ross Russell, New First National Bank, just glad to be a part of this fine group of young men.
Fine ensemble. You got it.
James Canal Air Conditioning. We'll have to look up what young men really means these days.
Scott Ryan, New First National Bank.
Means still alive.
All right, Bob Mason, KULP, Ricebirds, and the Sealy Tigers tonight, 7 o'clock. In the meantime, go out and see some high school football.
You didn't say no feeders.
Say